Hey there, it's movie night. Tonight's film we're looking at is We Are Marshall. This is a 2006 film starring Matthew McConaughey, Anthony Mackie from the whole Avengers film series. He plays Nate. Matthew Fox plays Red Dawson. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing his name right. Maybe you can help me. Straighthan? Am I saying it right? And he plays President Deadwood. And then Ian Shane plays Paul Griffin. And so this film over 15 years ago now. And I watched it for the second time. And I'm not sure if it's because there's been recent deaths and, in our lives, Ruben, it hit me hard. And if you don't know the story, it's the story of a football team, University of Marshall. And the plane in 1970, a plane full of athletes, football players, not only football players, but parents, alumni, boosters, crashed in the forest. And I believe it was in Virginia. And so the plane exploded. Everyone died in the plane. This hit not only that community, but it affected the whole country. And I think over like 130 people were killed. And so the film takes you through that horrendous tragedy and the lives of these people that it touched, the parents that were still alive, coaches that survived with guilt, feeling guilty that they lived because they weren't on the plane, even to players. So it really was. It just from the beginning, it just crushed me because thinking, man, these people don't know what to do with this grief. And then the second part of the film, I should say, is when Matthew McConaughey comes in as the new coach, and they decide to go on with the program after all these deaths, right? So we need to move on. And the president of the school of Marshall said, let's move forward. After the students actually said, hey, we want it, right? And football players came in and talked to the president and said, let's continue the program. And so they listened to them, those who made those decisions at the school. And that's the second part of the film where they're not doing so well because they have players are all freshmen. It's the first time the NCAA allowed freshmen to play. Much of you guys know out there that at one time freshmen were not allowed to play football and basketball until the early 70s. And one of the reasons is because of this tragedy that happened. And so I enjoyed the film though. Even though of course it was kind of a downer in the beginning, but I love Matthew McConaughey's character. I thought he was great as the coach, the new coach that came in to just really inspire not only the people who were hurting in the town, but the players, the families, and you just were rooting for the team. You're just rooting for them just to play a game and to be able to survive a football game, and they did more so than that. And then you just see that over years, they continue to grow the program. And Ruben, I love the film. I'm not sure how you felt about it.
Yeah, I liked it. I really did. I thought that the opening moments leading up to the plane crash, the plane crash was done, I think, tastefully, but it was still rather chilling. It's a cabin full of players, coaches, like you say, boosters. It's there, they're there, and they're gone. And then you see this tragedy, the fires that it created as the players came down. I guess it happened near the school.
It looked like it did, yeah.
A lot of the students came down, and there's a lot of things happening here that are really powerful. We can start, of course, by McConaughey's performance. He always straddles the line between overperformance and strong, and he usually comes out on the better end of that. And so this is another case where he's very watchable. He's perfect as a coach, right?
Oh yeah.
That enthusiasm, that joy that he brings. It reminds us, as we are teachers, as our moods are, so do our students go. Some of the better movies, teachers, and coaches that we've seen. I think the most recent one was Cotter. Has a very enthusiastic style to him. Do you notice So that's like the direction. Yeah, I'll go into the little details of the film, like what made this
Mhm.
teacher good. But do you notice the difference between something like this and Remember the Titans? Here, the music accents the film,
Yeah.
as opposed to Remember the Titans. There's these long videos where the director just took a cigarette break and just played the music.
Yeah.
Where this director, it just accents it. You have a little bit of Cat Stevens over a scene, a little bit of Gordon Lightfoot. You could tell that the music was very much
I believe it was
inspired.
Hans Zimmer who did the score. Yeah.
Well, I'm not talking about the score. I'm talking about the music
The songs.
that
Okay.
right, that the songs that were in. Personally, I could have done without the maudlin music, you know, especially the first half. And
Okay.
I get it, you know, it's a very touchy thing. It's very tragic, but it felt a little heavy-handed with the maudlin music and trying to, you know, make you touchy-feely about certain elements of the story. But I will say, how about this Matthew McConaughey? So you were talking about it really talks about the red tape of
Yeah.
the NCAA, where they didn't allow freshmen, like you said, until Marshall came in and said, "Hey, we lost our football team.
We lost the football team. Yeah.
So how could you not?" And they said no to them. They said
For a
no to Marshall
while.
several times. And Matthew McConaughey confronts the admin, who's really rooting and trying, and he hired McConaughey, Jack Lingle, I think his name is, and the actual coach. How nice is it, by the way, to have an admin who's not fighting tooth and nail with his teacher? Like so many of these movies that we've seen
Yeah.
are so cliche, but he really is a good guy. So it's David Strathern.
Strathern. That's how you say it.
But
That's
the not that my pronunciation is perfect,
it's
but
better. It's much better.
the at one point Strathern says, "Hey, we try. I third or fourth attempt," and McConaughey says, "Are you married? When you proposed yes, I'm married. When you proposed to your wife, did you use a phone call? Did you send a letter? Or did you go in person?" And it's a good lesson in really appealing to somebody. And there's another one like it where McConaughey realizes, he and the assistant coach realize, we don't have the players. We do not have the personnel on this team to take on Xavier College and those type of programs. And McConaughey says, "Well, we can run," or the assistant coach says, "We can run this defense. Who else? Or we can run this offense. Who else does it? Bobby Bowden does it. Oh, well, let's ask him how to do it. He's a rival. Why would he help us?" And McConaughey just says, "Let's go do it. Let's ask him."
We'll ask. Yeah.
And all you can do is ask. And he did. And he got what he was looking for.
And people were willing to do these things because they had they're going through so much. The community wanted to help. The football community wanted to help. And so, Ruben, I want to share, when you talk about McConaughey, there's a point, and I know you're really big into, knowing your students' names. And there's a point where he's only memorizing a couple of kids' names. And then later on, he sees this one boy, he only memorized one name. And he says, "Nate." And then he goes, "All right, good job, coach. You remember one name." But he didn't only just know the name; he knew everything about him. He knew his stats from the previous year, his leadership. And then the player thought, "Oh, I just thought you knew my name," but he knew more. He knew him, and Nate knew it. He goes, "Wait, this guy's a little different." And then he started getting excited about the coach, and really being the leader that the coach needed to spur the other students, the other players to just follow this coach, And so I just loved it. I mean, just even knowing that some of these assistant coaches, it was tough because one of them in particular, the one they focused on, the Matthew Fox character, Red, he only coached for that 1 year. I kind of did a little backup, and after that 1 year, he was done, but he was there for that team when they really needed him. So wonderful film. Anything else, Ruben, you wanted to
add? Just that, sometimes you have to lose the battle to I don't want to give that cliche, win the war, but they didn't have a good first season coming back. But what a legacy they ended up carrying on for that team, that from that tragedy, because now they're a very strong program.
Yeah. And McConaughey said something, it was interesting. I think you agree that a lot of coaches say, "Hey, winning is everything," right? but just one. He goes, this one time in history, maybe winning isn't everything. Just putting a team on the field is something to be proud of. You're like, that's a win. That's a win right there. And then we could worry about winning later. And then, yes, winning will be the most important thing. And I love that line. There's some really cool lines in this film. I hope you guys watch it. It's wonderful. Give our definitely approval on this one. And thank you for being with us this evening. And we will see you soon on Pod and Deliver. Good night. Bye-bye.